There's a quiet thief that many people never notice until it's almost too late. It doesn't break into your home, but it sneaks into your body, damaging your kidneys, clouding your eyes, and stealing your energy. That thief is high blood sugar, and for millions of older adults, it sets the stage for diabetes and kidney disease, two conditions that walk hand in hand. But what if I told you there is a way to push back using nothing more complicated than a spoon and a glass of water before each meal? Today, I want to show you 5 simple remedies, all backed by science, that can help protect your kidneys and calm your blood sugar swings. I'm Dr. Brian, and welcome to Channel Vital Science for Seniors. Stay with me, because the answers you've been waiting for may be much closer than you think. I often tell my patients that the kitchen can be as powerful as the pharmacy. The secret lies not in exotic treatments, but in natural remedies that our ancestors quietly relied on for centuries. When we study them carefully today, we discover that many of these remedies hold remarkable power for stabilizing blood sugar and protecting delicate kidneys. I'd like to take you through 5 of them, one by one, not as a list, but as a living journey, because I've seen these remedies change lives. Let's begin with apple cider vinegar. Picture this: you're eating a plate of spaghetti. Normally, your stomach acts like a quick-release valve, emptying that pasta into your bloodstream in the form of sugar all at once. That surge is what leaves you groggy and thirsty later. But when you take just a spoonful of apple cider vinegar mixed in water before the meal, it slows that valve down. Instead of flooding the bloodstream, sugar trickles in more gently, like a faucet instead of a fire hose. The result? Your blood sugar stays calmer, and your kidneys aren't overwhelmed trying to filter out the excess. I remember one patient, Margaret, who was 72. She had battled type 2 diabetes for over a decade. Her blood sugars were stubbornly high despite medications, and her doctor had warned her that her kidney function was slipping. We added a small habit: 2 tablespoons of raw, unfiltered apple cider vinegar before lunch and dinner. Within 3 months, her morning blood sugars had dropped by nearly 20 points, and her creatinine levels, a marker of kidney strain, had stopped climbing. Margaret told me, "Dr. Brian, I finally feel like I have a little control again." Science backs her experience. A review published in the Journal of Evidence-Based Integrative Medicine found that apple cider vinegar significantly lowered fasting blood sugar and improved cholesterol in people with type 2 diabetes. The vinegar also contains antioxidants that mop up free radicals, those unstable molecules that attack kidney tissue like rust eating away at metal. And because it lowers blood pressure slightly, it reduces one of the greatest pressures, literally, on the kidneys. But apple cider vinegar is just the beginning. Let's turn to berberine, a natural compound hidden in plants like barberry and golden seal. If vinegar is the gentle coach, berberine is the hard-working personal trainer. In the body, it switches on a molecular pathway known as AMPK, which I often describe to my patients as the body's metabolic thermostat. When AMPK is activated, cells become more sensitive to insulin, like rusty locks finally opening to allow sugar to enter and be used for energy instead of floating destructively in the bloodstream. The results can be dramatic. One study published in Metabolism compared berberine to metformin, one of the most widely prescribed diabetes drugs, and found that berberine lowered blood sugar just as effectively. It also reduced cholesterol and blood pressure, giving kidneys a triple layer of protection. But caution is important. Berberine can interact with medications, especially blood thinners, and drugs that suppress the immune system. So it should always be added under the guidance of a healthcare professional. A patient named George illustrates the promise. At 68, he was skeptical. "You mean a yellow powder from a plant can help me like my pills do?" he asked. We added a modest dose, 500 milligrams before meals, with his physician's oversight. Over 6 months, his A1C, a measure of long-term blood sugar control, fell from 8.1 to 6.9. Even better, his cholesterol improved enough that his cardiologist reduced one of his medications. George grinned. "Looks like Mother Nature knows a thing or two." Next comes aloe vera juice. Most of us think of aloe as the green gel we rub on sunburns. But inside this humble plant lies a cocktail of vitamins, minerals, and natural compounds that soothe more than skin. When taken as a diluted juice, aloe seems to enhance insulin sensitivity and calm the fires of inflammation that often smolder inside diabetic kidneys. Think of your kidneys like a pair of overworked air filters. Aloe vera is like a gentle rinse that helps keep them clear and functional. Studies have shown aloe vera juice can lower fasting blood sugar and improve HbA1c, the long-term sugar marker. It also increases urine output slightly, which helps the kidneys flush toxins more efficiently. One caution, aloe is powerful, and when combined with diabetes medications, it can lower blood sugar too much. That's why starting small, perhaps just 20 milliliters mixed with a glass of water, is wise, and only after checking with your doctor. Now, let's step into the world of minerals, specifically chromium. Chromium is a trace mineral, meaning we only need tiny amounts, but it plays a giant role in helping insulin do its job. Without enough chromium, it's as if the key to unlock the cell's sugar door is missing its teeth. Unfortunately, diabetes itself can worsen chromium deficiency, creating a vicious cycle. Natural food sources provide chromium in safe, gentle doses. Brewer's yeast, garlic, turmeric, and even cinnamon carry this mineral quietly into your diet. Some people require supplements, but here we must tread carefully because too much chromium can cause its own problems. For many older adults, the simplest step is to enrich meals with these natural foods. I once guided a retired teacher named Elaine to sprinkle a little brewer's yeast over her morning oatmeal. Over months, she noticed her post-meal blood sugars weren't spiking as dramatically. "It's such a small sprinkle," she laughed, "but it makes me feel like I'm giving my body a secret helper." Finally, we come to cinnamon, a spice that transforms the ordinary into the extraordinary. Beyond its warm aroma, cinnamon contains compounds that mimic insulin and slow the breakdown of carbohydrates, releasing sugar more gradually. It's as if cinnamon whispers to the body, "Take your time, no need to rush." Research published in Diabetes Care found that just 1 to 6 grams of cinnamon per day significantly reduced fasting blood sugar in people with type 2 diabetes. But moderation is crucial. Too much cinnamon, particularly the common cassia variety, can stress the liver. A teaspoon or two daily is both safe and effective for most. I often recommend that patients stir cinnamon into unsweetened applesauce or sprinkle it on roasted vegetables. One woman, Clara, 80 years old and living independently, began doing just that. Over the holidays, she proudly told me that for the first time in years, she could enjoy a family dinner without feeling dizzy or weak afterward. Cinnamon had become her quiet ally. When we weave together these 5 remedies, apple cider vinegar, berberine, aloe vera, chromium-rich foods, and cinnamon, we create a tapestry of protection. Each works in a slightly different way. One slows sugar absorption, another trains cells to respond, another cools inflammation, and together they lighten the load on kidneys already struggling to keep pace with years of high sugar. And this, my friend, is the heart of the message. Nature offers us tools not as replacements for modern medicine, but as partners. They are the spoons of hope we can hold in our hands before each meal, small habits that add up to real, measurable improvements. If the natural remedies I've shared are like powerful allies on your side, then lifestyle habits are the daily rhythm that keeps your body steady and resilient. They're the foundation stones, quiet, often overlooked, but absolutely essential if we want to protect our kidneys and tame diabetes after 50. I've watched patients make small, almost unnoticeable adjustments and then return months later with brighter eyes, lighter steps, and lab results that surprised even their doctors. Let me walk you through these habits as if we were sitting together in my office, cup of tea in hand, talking about what's truly possible. The first habit is hydration. Our kidneys are like diligent washing machines, tirelessly filtering waste and toxins out of the bloodstream. But a washing machine can't do its job without water. When we become dehydrated, our blood grows thicker, sugar becomes more concentrated, and creatinine levels rise, signaling kidney stress. I encourage patients to imagine their kidneys as little garden fountains. They need a steady stream to stay clear and flowing. 8 to 10 glasses a day is the sweet spot. And for those who find plain water boring, I often suggest infusing it with slices of cucumber or lemon. One gentleman, Harold, 76, told me that he set a timer every 2 hours to remind himself to sip. Within a few weeks, his dizziness spells faded, and his blood tests showed improved kidney function. Sometimes the simplest things hold the greatest power. Now let's talk about food, not in terms of restriction, but of timing and choice. One of the most powerful strategies for stabilizing blood sugar is focusing on foods with a low glycemic index. Imagine a campfire. Tossing in dry leaves creates a sudden flare, bright but gone in seconds. That's what high glycemic foods like white bread or sugary snacks do. They send sugar shooting up, then crashing down. Low glycemic foods like apples, berries, lentils, and non-starchy vegetables are these slow-burning logs. They release energy steadily, keeping your blood sugar even and your kidneys free from the damaging surges. For someone with kidney concerns, these foods often overlap with a diet for kidney disease, where we carefully balance nutrients and sometimes emphasize low potassium foods, depending on lab results. I once worked with a woman named Ruth who loved potatoes. Unfortunately, her kidney function was slipping, and her potassium levels were creeping too high. We swapped her usual baked potato for roasted cauliflower seasoned with garlic and herbs. At first, she was skeptical, but after a few weeks, she told me, "Dr. Brian, I don't even miss the potatoes anymore. My sugars are calmer, and I feel lighter." Her story reminds me that change doesn't always mean loss. It can mean discovering something new and delightful. The third habit is monitoring. I know for many people, pricking a finger to check blood sugar feels like a chore or even a burden. But think of it as checking the weather before leaving the house. You wouldn't step out without knowing whether to bring an umbrella. Similarly, checking your sugar tells you what's happening inside your body. It helps you notice patterns. How a bowl of oatmeal in the morning might be perfect, while white rice at dinner sends numbers soaring. When we understand those patterns, we can make small adjustments that add up to big improvements. Patients who keep a simple notebook of readings often feel more empowered, as if they finally have a map instead of wandering in the dark. Fiber is another quiet hero. Unlike fats or sugars, fiber doesn't get digested for energy. Instead, it acts like a sponge, slowing down the release of sugar into the bloodstream and giving your kidneys a break. Vegetables, legumes, and whole grains are excellent sources. Some people add psyllium husk in water before meals, which forms a gentle gel in the gut and steadies digestion. The beauty of fiber is that it also helps you feel fuller longer, making it easier to avoid the temptations of overeating. I recall a patient, Thomas, who added a salad of leafy greens before lunch every day. He lost 10 pounds in 3 months without ever feeling hungry, and his doctor congratulated him on lowering his A1C naturally. And then there's movement. Exercise is perhaps the single most powerful tool we have to make insulin work better. But when I say exercise, I don't mean marathon running or heavy weights, unless that's your passion. For most older adults, it's as simple as brisk walking, dancing in the living room, or cycling on a stationary bike. Think of exercise as telling your muscles, wake up and use this sugar for energy. The result is not just lower blood sugar, but also better circulation, reduced inflammation, and even a brighter mood. I encourage aiming for 150 minutes a week, but what matters most is consistency. Some studies suggest that exercising in the morning has added benefits for blood sugar control, perhaps because it primes the body's metabolism for the day ahead. One of my favorite stories is of a retired nurse, Evelyn, who started walking every morning with her neighbor. She admitted, "At first I dreaded it, but now if I miss a walk, my whole day feels off." Her kidney function stabilized, her energy soared, and she gained a circle of companionship that enriched her life. These habits, hydration, thoughtful food choices, monitoring, fiber, and regular movement, are not punishments or restrictions. They are gifts, ways of reclaiming control over your health one gentle step at a time. When woven together with natural remedies, they form a safety net for your kidneys and a path towards steady, stable blood sugar. And most importantly, they restore something far greater than numbers on a chart. They restore the confidence that your body can still serve you well, even after decades of wear. Diabetes and kidney disease can feel like heavy chains, but I want you to know they don't have to dictate the rest of your life. Small changes, a spoonful of vinegar before meals, a sprinkle of cinnamon, a glass of water at your side, a walk in the morning sun, these are quiet acts of healing. Science shows us that even at 70 or 80, the body responds with resilience and grace. Always check with your doctor, but never lose hope. With consistency and care, you can protect your kidneys, steady your blood sugar, and reclaim joy in living.